again, Mark here from Talkingbass. This week I'm going to take a look at a really popular aspect of slap pop technique, and that's triplets. Now a triplet is simply a rhythm. It's 3 notes played equally in the space of 2. But when it comes to slap technique, triplets are often associated with fills and soloistic ideas, so you get these kind of patterns. So today I'm going to look at 4 common ways of playing these fast triplet lines. We're going to look at open string hammer-on triplets. We're also going to look at adding some ghost notes in there to get more of a sextuplet feel. We're going to check out some fretted hammer-on ghost note triplets. And finally, we'll look at some palm slap triplets. Each method has a unique technical hurdle, so I'll take you step by step through each one in turn. Remember, the drum track that I've used here is over at Talkingbass, along with the tab and sheet music, so just click the link in the card or in the info below to play along. So, the way this is going to work is we're going to play around a 2-bar basic slap groove and then insert a triplet fill on the 2nd bar. So the groove sounds like this. So first of all, let's just have a quick look at that groove. So this is in A minor, it's actually using an A Dorian scale, and we begin with the G to A there on the E string, so 3rd fret to 5th fret, slapping both notes. Then we simply take that up the octave, so we play the G and the A up here at the 5th and 7th fret on the D string, again slapped with the thumb. Then we work down to the C there, 3rd fret of the A string, and then the A 5th fret of the E string, so. And that's all played with the thumb. So remember, this is all transcribed there in the lesson material. Then we finally have this little hammer on from G to A, 3rd fret to the 5th fret of the E string. Again, slap the first note and then just hammer on with the 4th finger to the A 5th fret of the E string. And that's it. So that's the groove. So. Now, one thing that I would say in terms of the technique on this, I mean, it's all played with the thumb. There's no popping in there at all. But when you move from this low G-A to the high G-A, you might occasionally get a bit of residual noise down at the bottom. So it's sometimes worth using the bottom part of the arm there, like the forearm, to mute that E string off as you move across. And that's the whole riff. So let's have a look at our first triplet fill. So this is going to be using open string hammer-ons, and with the riff it sounds like this. Okay. So let's have a look at that fill in isolation, slowly. So, what we have here is an open string, we're using the open D string, and then we're playing a hammer-on the D string, an A in this instance, and then we pop on the G string, popping a C there. So that's our triplet. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'll work through the actual fill. So, open D string, so you slap there, then you hammer on with the 3rd finger, the ring finger, at the 7th fret, so that's an A. Okay, and just hammering on out of nowhere. Now, then we have the 1st finger here at the 5th fret of the G string for the C, ready to pop. Okay, and that's it. So you just want to learn that motion. Now, it might seem quite tricky at first as you get used to this triplet feel, but you know, after a while it'll just become muscle memory and you get used to that feel of, you know, playing a slap and then some form of hammer on and then a pop, which is actually going to be used in some of the other fills. Okay, so you just get used to that. Just start out really, really slow. And just build up speed. So then we move down to the G and the B, okay? So we've got the open D string again, slap. Then we hammer on at the G, 5th fret of the D string, and I'm playing that with the 2nd finger, the middle finger. and then we pop the B at the 4th fret of the G string. So really we've got these two little dyads or double stops there. So that's our two little chords. Okay, and it's as simple as that, just the same motion in both instances. And then I'm simply sliding up to this other chord up here. So we've got C, 10th fret of the D string, and then the E at the 9th fret of the G string. Okay, so after we've played the G and the B there, I just slap that G there again, and I slide that full chord up. So it's that major third, we just slide it up there to the 10th fret. And then pop when we get to the top. Okay, so there's a little bit more than just the triplet in there, but I'm adding that at the end just so that we can get back down into the riff. So. Okay, so nice little fill there, okay? So that's the first kind of triplet. That's an open string hammer-on, okay? Now, from a note perspective, this is quite a cool little technique because you can just work around within various scales. So we're using an A Dorian scale here, so if you know the notes of A Dorian, you can just move it around. You obviously have to know the thirds within there, but you can also use octaves, you can use any kind of interval you want. Now, we're in A Dorian, so you can just move up and around wherever you want within the scale. In terms of the open string, don't worry too much about that because it's more of a ghost note. It moves by so fast in passing that you can actually use this technique in whatever key you want. Yes, it'll work better within keys where there is, let's say, an open D, A, E, whatever open string you're using. It's actually going to be better if it's in the key, but don't worry if it's not. You can still get away with it because it moves by so quickly. So you want to try this really, really slowly until you've got the muscle memory down. Maybe just try moving between those two intervals. Start out really slow. Just build up speed. And then you can start playing through the full lick. So once you've got that lick down, you can start adding it in there with our bass groove. So I would advise starting out pretty slow with this so that you can, get back down into the riff. So very slowly. And then you just gradually build up speed. Okay, finally, once you've worked up speed, you can try playing with the backing track. For the next fill, we're going to look at adding some ghost notes in there to get more of a sextuplet kind of feel. So that with the riff sounds like this. Okay, so let's have a listen to that fill in isolation. Okay, so it's very similar to the previous lick because we're using an open string, but there's a slightly different motion to it that gives it more of that sextuplet feel rather than triplet. Even though it's still at the same speed, it's just two sets of three. So we're using the open string, in this case the open A, then we're going to hammer on at the C 3rd fret of the A string. Then I'm going to slap that C. So open A string, hammer on, slap. That's the first group of three in there, the first triplet. Then we're going to pop the C at the 5th fret of the G string. So we've got an octave pattern here, basically. Just the C, the two C's there, 3rd fret A string, 5th fret G string. And that's the first motion to get down. Open string, hammer on, slap, pop. And you want to practice that first of all. Just get that down very slow and build up speed. Okay, Then we want to add the ghost notes in there. So any of you that have seen any of my previous lessons will know all about my home position, which is basically just putting the hand lightly across the strings there. So that's what we're going to use here, and we're going to be slapping the A string and popping the G string. Okay, so, and that's the full group of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you just want to try that really, really slow until you've got that muscle memory down, and then just build up speed. So it might take a bit of getting used to it first, moving from the octave back to the home position for the ghost notes. But you know, that's just something to work on at the slow tempo. So okay, and then just build up speed. So that's the group of 6. That's why I'm calling it a sextuplet, and you know, you can move that all around the place. Okay, so practice that in isolation, and then we can try adding it into our full lick. So when we add it to the lick, it sounds like this. So we've only really got one iteration of it. And then we've got the open A string, and then the D octave. Okay, so open A string, hammer on, slap, and then pop. Okay, and that's where it finishes. So it's only really one iteration of the move, but you know, you really want to be able to put these into various fills without just thinking triplet, 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 you know, just playing them all the time. So this is just a way of incorporating them a little bit more subtly. So, okay, so that's the whole lick. So now let's try that lick with the riff at a slow tempo. Okay, and you just build up speed. Then you can try it with the track. The next triplet contains hammer-ons and ghost notes, but it doesn't have any open strings in there. So, with the riff, it sounds like this. Okay. So, that lick in isolation sounds like this. So, again, we've got a slap. In this case, a G, 5th fret of the D string, and a hammer on, so that's the A, 7th fret of the D string. So I'm using the 1st and the 4th finger there. And then we have a pop on a ghost note. So the trick here is to move from the fretted notes and the hammer on to the ghost note and back. So that's the tricky part, okay? Where if you've already got used to using the home position that I talk about, then you'll find this a lot easier. So just check out some of my other lessons there. I've got many ones on slapping in the home position, and I've got the simple steps to slap bass over at Talkingbass, where I talk about that a lot. Okay, so I'm basically just talking about holding the the fingers over the strings there, so that we don't get any noise. You start in that position, and then you allow the notes to come through. So. And then you just go simply straight back to that home position that we already have the muscle memory for. Okay? So that's the basis of this lick. So really you want to try just moving around on that pattern. So if we try it there, 5th fret to the 7th fret, but then move just down to the A string, 5th to the 7th fret again, the D to the E, you can just work between them. Okay, so you just move between them, getting used to the muscle memory. So for our fill, all we do is extend that exercise by playing G to A, D to E, and then C to D. So that's the 3rd fret to 5th fret on the A string. And then I just just hit that open E string just to bring us back round, back to the riff, okay? So start out really slow with that. Okay, and you'll eventually get used to that kind of rolling action. One thing I would say from a technical standpoint is when you're slapping here, keep a fairly loose hand there, and you want to keep your thumb pretty much parallel with the string there, and also I kind of keep my fingers almost dangling on the or touching the you know, the body there. So that there's not much movement going on. We don't have much, you know, movement on the wrist and the hand. It's all within a very small space. So I'm just using the thumb and the forefinger there, you know, just to move between each other. Don't want much movement with this hand. So let's try that slowly with the riff. So. And then just build up speed. And just take it as slow as you need to, and then build up from there. So once you feel comfortable with that, you can try with the track. So for the final fill, we've got more of a Mark King style machine gun triplet that uses the palm slap in there. So let's have a listen to that with the riff. So that fill slowly in isolation sounds like this. Okay, so we've got that palm slap in there. So let's have a look at this, this technique, but we'll start by popping on the G string because it's always a little bit easier to get started there. So let's take the D at the 7th fret of the G string, and I just want you to pop it. Now, the next step is to play this muted palm slap. Now, lots of people have problems with this when they first get started because they often play a hammer-on like that. So if you're getting that note, that's not right. You just want this kind of bang effect. Now, one thing I would say is if you've got the home position down that I talk about, when you actually do that and you've got the first finger, let's say, taking the A, D, and G strings there lightly, you know, wherever you are on the neck, and then you bring these fingers down, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers, it's that motion of bringing them down that we're looking for. And if you were to just bring them down to mute, so instead of bringing them down to fret, you just want to, let's say, put that first finger there across the A, D, and G strings, just bring these down so that the 2nd finger comes a little bit past the edge of the neck there, but you're muting the whole neck, okay? As you do that, just bring it down at first so that you're just not getting any noise, you're just placing it there, okay? And when you do that, you should get a fully muted, bass. Just get used to bringing it down a little bit harder, just a little bit, and you'll start to get a little bit of a whack. Now, if you press down properly with the string and press it down to the neck, then obviously you'll get a note. But we're not aiming to do that. We're just looking to place the fingers in that muted position. So it's just enough to get that whack, okay? Don't press, just come down as if you're going into a home position muting position. So that's what we're looking for. So now back to the triplet. If we go back to that D and we bring the thumb down, well, actually, let's get that out of the way first. Let's just play the D. And then I just want you to bring the fingers down just as we did with that home position. And what will happen is that you'll cut off the D. You want to raise the finger slightly as well, so we're punching at that note with the first finger. So we get a sharp attack on there. And then we get the bang. Okay? Now, once you've brought the fingers down and you've got the bang, then you slap. And we're already in that ghost note position, so we get a ghost note. So, that is what we're looking for. We're not looking for any notes on the low note there. Now you can also bring this hand down so that you're muting the E string a little bit more. And you can also bring the thumb round, as I showed before, so you can really mute that E string off. But that's a little bit trickier at first because, you know, you want to get this flappy hand kind of bang slap down first of all. And I think it actually is a little bit easier when you don't have the thumb round, because otherwise you get all scrunched up. So eventually though, it doesn't matter. So start out really slow and then just build up speed. So it's very much a drum kind of action. You'll get this this kind of move a lot on drum kits, where you'll get someone playing the tom, then the bass drum, and then another tom or the snare. You know, just playing around the kit, playing these 3-note triplet patterns. So that's basically what we've got here. We're going between the pop, that fretting hand slap, and the normal slap. Now, bear in mind, this does take a while to get down. I spent forever, back in the early 90s when I first started trying to slap, I tried this all the time, and it just took me forever. And I was always rushing because I wanted to get that speed up, because I'd seen people like Stu Hamm and Mark King, you know, playing these really fast triplet lines, and it just, you know, I was too impatient. I was too eager to get to that level. And really, you just have to start out like this. I mean, even slower than that. You know, that kind of speed, and then just gradually speed up. Find where you start going wrong and it all starts going out of time, and then just slow down a little bit. Find the tempo that you can play and then stick at that. Stick at it for a while until eventually the muscle memory starts to take shape. Because you don't want to be thinking about this as it gets faster. You're not going to be thinking pop, slap, slap. You don't think like that. It's just emotion that you've got in the hands. So you want to build up that muscle memory. And I hate to say it, but you're probably going to be around that speed for quite a while. Maybe some of you'll move quicker than others, who knows. But then eventually you can just build up speed. Okay, and that is that machine gun triplet. So now let's look at how we'd apply that to our lick. So the fill sounds like this. So I've just got a little one in there. Again, I'm not trying to overdo it with the triplets in here. I'm just trying to be a bit more subtle. So we're playing the triplet on the G and the F sharp, 5th and 4th fret of the D string. Okay? Exactly the same motion. It's just that we're popping on the D string. And then we come back up to the G, 5th fret of the D string, and we just play one note on there, and then the C, 5th fret of the G string. I mean, you could play triplets on all 3 of them, but I just wanted to break it up a little bit. Okay, so that's the lick. So very slowly again. Okay, so very slowly with the riff we have. And then you just build up speed. Okay, so again, once you feel comfortable with that, you can try with the practice track. So I hope that sheds a little light on the many ways of generating triplets in your slap playing. Please like this video if it's helped, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. Then remember to check out Talkingbass if you want to check out the tab and drum track. Then if you want even more free practice resources, just sign up to the completely free Talkingbass membership, where you can find a whole bunch of free goodies like the scale reference manual ebook. Okay, I'll see you next week.